Hey everyone, welcome back to the live. Myself and Emma Lyons are here again, and I'm Allegra Jackson, the Marketing Medulla, and I am a business coach and marketing strategist, and we also the founder of the W.I.N community. Shout out to y'all, hey family! And I want to make sure that we bring this to you. We are actually doing this live, and we've been doing it for a while. Some of my destinations have errors, so I want to make sure I correct that. Hold on, Emma. It's telling me I'm having issues. And it does this, y'all. Like it literally does this. So Emma, I'm gonna pause this and then we're come back on. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, sure.
I hate when it does this to me. Ugh. All right. So let me do that, and that, and then I'm gonna place the save changes. All right. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that we were all good with our channels. And listen, as we've been having this discussion, and Emma, I want you to introduce yourself too, but we're going to quickly give you about 30 minutes of some impact teaching. Just talk about what it is to receive. Emma's expert in this. I work with clients in their business coaching and making sure you have an understanding of how to move in your business. But if you have blocks, if you have things that are happening that you know what to do, but you're just not doing it, that's where Emma comes in because you're not willing to receive something. So Emma, I'm going to pass it over to you, and we'll get started after your introduction.
Okay. I am just trying to set up a stream, but it's not working.
Oh,
So, all right. Hi, everyone. This is the multitasking. So, great to be here again, Allegra, and everyone listening in. My name is Emma Lyons. Like Allegra said, I am your money block alchemist, and I specialize in working with, particularly with female entrepreneurs, and helping them release the root causes, the source code of any kind of blocks that we have around receiving money and making money. Because I know for me and my journey, this was the number one thing that was holding me back. It wasn't about the marketing, it wasn't about the strategies, it was about the alignment within myself and feeling unworthy and not, even though I was following the best script and doing all the things, I wasn't believe fully aligned with that my inside. So that's why things didn't work out for me for a long time until I started working through all of these money blocks, so that I could start receiving more and kind of getting into flow with money, which is what business is all about. It's all about working with people and giving and receiving and sharing and being in the flow with all that energy. So really excited to be here. That's what business is supposed to be like. But I know for a lot of us, we have this start stop thing, we have this things go and then things stop, or you have the constant putting the brakes on, or you know exactly what you should be doing, but can't make yourself do the things that you know you should do. So all of these things indicate that there's something inside yourself that's kind of just got a little red flag going. So my job is to remove those red flags so that you can take on what Allegra is telling you to do, and and to do all that marketing, show up on your sales calls, and get the really good results that you want in your business so that you can actually start thriving rather than stressing and struggling and surviving. So that was a long way of talking about what I do. So really excited about this discussion, and I'm going to send it back to Allegra.
thank you, Emma. And welcome in, everyone. Make sure you drop your comments or your questions in the comment section. We love receiving here. So if you just go ahead and put that down there, we would love to respond to you and kind of give you some direct approaches to this opportunity. And when you were speaking, Emma, one thing that came to mind is I listen to a lot of motivational, those things that you watch on YouTube, right? Like a lot of it, I think you talked about, Emma, before we said it's like they're always like pumping you up, right? And it's like this massive energetic fuel. And everyone doesn't need that. But for me, I'm that person, like pump me up. Okay. So I have times where I listen, and one of the speakers, though, he's not that extreme. I can't remember his name. It's the Your World Within. I don't know if y'all know who this is, but this gentleman is so good. He does this amazing podcast on YouTube, very calm, and he was talking about experiences where he would be in front of a public speaker at one point, and the public speaker was basically telling the audience, I'm about to tell you something very important, but be aware, okay, that your mind is going to betray you. And it was very interesting to hear that, because I was thinking, he broke it down really well. But I was thinking, how many times do we go through that, right? And whatever we do in our personal lives and business. Business for me is a personal development, growth structure, as well as something that's going to fuel my lifestyle. If I can do it and have fun with it, grow from it, and then add money to it, why not? But sometimes we don't look at it like that, right? Sometimes business can feel like a struggle. It can feel like, oh, okay, that's a lot to do. But if you don't understand what's blocking you from the things that you're not able to receive, because if there's a lot of things going on in your business, you can hire, and sometimes that means you don't have to pay them either. I've hired on contract and made sure I had sales commission positions, right? I've hired people volunteer. Like, there's so many ways to utilize things, right? But if you're not in a space to receive, you're going to push it all away. And I've had that happen so many times where I'm like, why don't you just hire? Like, I literally have a whole program you can borrow from, right? And they'll be like, okay, sure, but then never actually take a step forward. And when he said that, your mind will betray you, I think that we have to be very cognizant of what that looks like, right? Because every single time that, and I thought about this after I listened to our live this last Wednesday, and I said, we were talking about the joy of receiving. And I had to learn how to do that. That wasn't something I knew. My experience when I was younger, I told y'all, I was scared of money. I was like, what? Like, I don't know how to receive that. Like, what? At 12 years old, I had my first encounter and was just very, kind of like confused about it. And as you grow, you have to really educate yourself and learn what that means. We talked about this last Wednesday about women and how we receive money, right? And so we have to look at all those things and say, are there any things that come to mind when I go to receive, right? So when you talked about sales calls, Emma, when you talked about going out and talking to people in the world and being able to open yourself up to people and say, hey, this is what I do, this is how I receive your money, right? A lot of times we just won't take that next step. And we want you to break free from that. Okay. We want you to break out of that space of lack. Because when I look at it, we said that last week too. We said, you are abundance. You're not abundant. You are abundance. And when you accept this attitude, which I call it an attitude, but it's a mindset. When you accept that for yourself, there are literally no limitations. You may have some things that you have to work through, but that's why me and Emma are here, right? We help you really get through those things seamlessly. But the hard part is sometimes when we try to figure those things out ourselves, when we try to say, okay, well, I know what's going on, and sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So even though we may feel like we can fix things, right, we have to identify, where am I really struggling? Because if this area I can't help myself in, which I've talked to several people about this through my coaching programs, Emma, and that's why everyone can't qualify, because you will constantly sabotage yourself. You will keep saying, I'm going to do it and not do it. You'll keep adding things to your plate, right? Like the templates and the strategies. And you'll start, and this is another thing I've seen, Emma, and I'll drop it here, is that I've seen a lot of times where we'll keep repeating the same things, right? Like, we'll make the sales calls, we'll collect the leads, right? But then we won't finalize the process. So we'll literally go through the marketing process, but then when it comes to the actual sell, we're not willing to receive it. And I've even seen it, to take it one step further. And I mentioned this before. I've seen it where I've walked someone through a sales process and had them implement it, and they literally gave the sell away for free. So I just want to talk about that real quick, because we can be open to receiving and start a process, but still block ourselves from receiving and end at the same time. So that's my take on it. And I would love to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, yeah, isn't that interesting? So you can have all the know-how, you can know exactly how to do it. You can even take those steps and do all the right things and burn yourself out, basically. I've been there, how many people have burned themselves out? You can be following all the tools and doing all the things that people say you should be doing and still not be getting those results. And it's because we're like afraid of getting to that next level. That's what it is. We're on some level, we're kind of comfortable where we are, even though it's really uncomfortable. There is there's a sense of, we know what it's like, and getting to the next level, it's like, oh my God, it's the unknown. What's going to happen? More exposure. There are risks involved in being more exposed and being more visible and making more money, so what you can do is you can start asking yourself, and I know we all want to be successful, but I want you to ask yourself, what would be the worst thing? And I do this with people, but you could do it for yourself. But what would be the worst thing that would happen if you achieve that goal? Like, and it might not be obvious, maybe there's a fear inside you. And this is the kind of comes under the fear of success. We're not actually afraid of succeeding. We're afraid of all the things that might be attached to that. So maybe there's a fear that if you become successful, you won't be able to relate to your friends and family anymore. And that can be a really deep one, because we all want to be connected to our friends, and don't want to lose them. We don't want to pass them by. So that can be one. Or maybe there's a fear around receiving too much money. What are they going to think? What they're gonna I'm what who am I to be earning that much money? Nobody in my family can earn that much money, and I'm not doing enough to deserve it. I'm not working hard enough. So these are the kind of things that can slow us down from getting to that next level, and that leads to people getting stuck at what's called an upper limit. And I got stuck at my upper limit before I got started. My limit was getting the ball rolling in terms of my business, and I just couldn't kind of initially get it past that first point because I was so afraid of being seen. I was afraid of showing up on social media. I was afraid of making the offers to people. I was afraid of being rejected, and I experienced all those things. And then, like Allegra said as well, I also showed up on sales calls and kind of sabotaged it because I had the kind of needy vibes going on. And even though I was following the sales script perfectly, um, I didn't really know how to close the sale um, properly. So I would often leave it open. People would say, "Oh, I'll phone get back to you," and of course they never would. So this was my problem when I started out, attracting people who were kind of ambivalent, because I was very ambivalent myself about my own success. I wanted to be successful, but I had all this fear around being successful. So what I've noticed is that you often attract people that kind of reflect, but maybe Allegra, you can notice this. Sometimes you attract people who reflect back to you kind of issues that you've had. So I get a lot of people that sometimes are used to get a lot of people that were very ambivalent, because that was a big thing that I had to go through. But if you really want to be successful and you're determined and you want to focus, working on these fears and this self-doubt and these sabotaging beliefs and feelings, it is so important, because even if you have like Allegra helping you and showing you the way and telling you this is what you need to do now you will just not do it. You will procrastinate. And this is not like we all do this. I know business coaches who are brilliant at telling everyone else what to do, not doing what they know that they need to be doing, because of these fears about getting to their next level, and they can help everyone else except themselves. And so this is a really common thing. And what you don't want to do is to get stuck there for a long time, because it can really pull you down and remove it can really erode your confidence, because the more you're struggling and the more you're kind of bumping up against that thing, you can build up the self-doubt. This is exactly what happened to me. The more the self-doubt will build, and you'll lose more and more confidence in yourself. So this is why I'm a huge advocate in working on these things alongside doing your marketing piece. You've got to do this inner work too. And then the best thing is to do both of them at the same time, parallel, because it's no good doing all this inner work and then not taking action, because then you just end up sliding back to your comfort zone. I've been there, I know. And there's no point in powering through with all of the great marketing and all the great strategies and setting up this funnel and that funnel if you're not aligned internally, if you're not aligned to actually make those sales, if you're not fully believing in yourself and the offer, or if you're riddled with self-doubt, so you are going to sabotage those sales. So this is what leads to getting burnout. You put all this energy into something, and then it doesn't happen. And what does that do? It reinforces all the old negative beliefs that say you can't have it, you're not allowed to have it, that it's too hard. And you can end up just kind of floating back and getting stuck in this treadmill where you're never actually moving forward. So that was kind of a long answer, but I'm really curious now to see what Allegra has to share about this, because I could see you like nodding along with what I was saying.
I'm just like trying to breathe back here because everything you're saying is so factual. I've been through it myself. This is not
Yeah.
something that don't are unfamiliar. Like everyone goes through this, right? No one just comes out of the. And it's funny because I run across a lot of very confident people, right? I'm very confident, and it took time to build that. But it's one thing to be confident; it's nothing to be delusional. Okay, we all go through this. And when you go through school, no one's teaching you about business, right? Even when I was in school, I was learning. Like Corey Sanders, shout out to him here in the group. But I was, in college. I was also in an internship. Like I was doing a lot when I was young. Okay. And I was still
Mm,
looking at what do I want to do in the future. And I love what you said about work on your mental as well as your physical. If you're working on your mentality and you're working towards your business, you're only going to go faster. I've seen so
yeah.
many stay in a space of like, I'm just going to work on this alone. And they do is they stay there. So you still sabotaging because you're like, well, I didn't actually do any physical work. I didn't take any action. I'm an
Yeah.
act. If I do anything, whether it's mindset or not, it's going to be in some form of action, right? So when I do
Yeah.
my, I mean, you know this. We have a morning cup of inspiration, y'all. So shout out to the morning early birds and the WIN members.
Yeah.
6
It's a
a.m.
brilliant,
morning.
brilliant room. You got to make it there. Yeah.
But when we go
Great
there,
way to start the day.
I mean, y'all listen, Emma's been in there so many times, but we go in there and we affirm. So we're speaking the things that we are thinking. We are setting goals, right? So we're not just like, oh, I just think I want to do this. Like we're literally writing those things down. And we're saying how intentional that's along with. And I believe that when we start to combine it, like you said, Emma, then we start to take better care of ourselves. Another thing that you mentioned that I want to emphasize here, y'all, because we got about 10 minutes left, and I'm just going to say this is so important, so important. You said that sometimes we are trying to help other people and we haven't helped ourselves yet, right? That's kind of what I took
Oh,
away
yeah.
from. And I've seen it a lot. And I really want to bring this to the forefront because sometimes I think it's very sensitive, right? It's a sensitive area because how can I help you if I don't even know how to do it? And this comes from a mental state of mind, right? Because I can probably physically do the work. But if I don't have the capacity in my mentality, like if I can't really handle what I'm doing, it's going to sabotage even the work I do with you. And I'll give you another example too, right? You attract who you are. So if you're struggling in business, you're going to attract people who are struggling in business and you're not going to be able to help them. It's one thing if, and when I say you attract people that are struggling, I have people that, are struggling in certain areas, but they're willing to help themselves. So they're not like, save me, right? Because it's one thing to be supported and there's another thing to be saved. And a lot of times we have clients that just want to be saved. And if we're not conscious about our ability to support people, if we're not healed in those areas of our mentality to know, like, hey, I can actually help you because I have the capacity to do so, what we end up doing is we attract people with those same problems that we have. And then we end up trauma bonding. And I'm telling you, this is something that I know because I've seen it. I have done it in the past. And when we don't understand that that's a block, then we keep doing it. And then we go, I'm not making any money. And I work with, I can't stand my clients. Sometimes I've worked with other coaches too. So I don't, just as a business coach, doesn't mean that I don't partner up with other business coaches and doesn't mean that I don't coach other business coaches. I still do. It's just not my ideal audience, but I still coach other business coaches. And from what I understand, is that a lot of us have kind of jumped out into this world of business coaching, not understanding the complexities of it, right? If you've had a business for a little while, just because you've had a business doesn't mean you can coach someone in business. You have to be able to provide and guide. And a lot of times we're stuck in our own businesses and then we want to teach someone else how to do theirs. And that doesn't work like that. So I want to emphasize that a little bit here because Emma, when we talk about blocks, we're really saying that the actual results, which I call data, will tell you the truth. How we feel is the sabotage. So, and I've seen a lot of that. And I want to kind of end on that note because we have about 8 minutes left. I don't see any more comments or questions, but you guys have a chance to do that even after this live, because we'll be coming back and we'll be talking more about this. And then we also have a workshop coming up together that we're going to guide you through this. But I mean, Emma, I would love to hear your take on that, attracting the same energy when you have like that block yourself and attracting other people that may have that same block.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that is so true. Like I just shared, me in the kind of ambivalent, uncertain place that I was in, one foot in, one foot out. I would keep attracting these people who were on that same page and would be very uncertain about taking any kind of step forward and spending any kind of money. And that left me. What it does when you get that kind of feedback, I like what you call it, the results data. It's kind of an emotionless term because it's the data, and we tend to emotionalize results and make it good and bad and right and wrong, and oh, I feel sad about the not getting the results. Whereas when you talk about it as data, I think that's really clever, Allegra. So it is just data, it's just feedback. So if you're getting that kind of feedback, that kind of data on calls, or if you're not getting the leads, it means there's some kind of glitch there in your operating system. And it could be in your marketing, could be, that's possible. But I think more than likely, these blocks, I would put a very high percentage of the blocks and the barriers that people perceive in business, they come from inside and from our own fears around putting ourselves out there, in terms of making the sales, in terms of making offers, receiving money, showing up on social media, talking about what you do, because it requires that we release so much shame that we've accumulated in our lives about being seen, being judged, being rejected. What are people going to think? Well, what if I'm not perfect? What if I say the wrong thing? All of these things, they will inevitably come up. And I think that is particularly a problem for lots of women. We suffer a lot from perfectionism, from striving to be perfect. We're often very codependent. Not everyone, obviously, but I think it's very common. We live in a very codependent world where we really take on things from the people that we're working with. So if we don't get the results we need, we can start internalizing all of that. And what it does is it leads to this downward spiral that I know I've experienced several times. So it does not help to just kind of leave these things on the back burner. It really, the thing that I've seen really helps people most is doing this inner work and taking the action at the same time, because the antidote to doubt is action. And we can do all the inner work and you want everything that you want and release the fear, but if you never act on that, it's you're not going to physicalize it. And that's the thing about action, it's making it real, it's physicalizing it. And I think for myself and for lots of people, we can do all this mindset work and expect it to magically change things, but it doesn't work. We've got to take the action too, because we live in a physical reality, and the language of this physical reality, guess what, it's action. It's making the calls, it's reaching, it's showing up on social media, it's doing the talking events, it's making the speaking engagements, it's creating leads for yourself. All of these things are strings to that. So we've got to really put ourselves out there. We can't It's like the person who wants to win the lottery and never buys a lottery ticket. It's kind of delusional, but I've done it. I know I've done it. And a lot of people are out there doing the same thing. So you've got to do these things in parallel. And that's why I think it's so great that we've got this workshop coming up, because we're going to be teaching you strategies and tools that are going to show you how to work with those two things in parallel, so that you can start getting totally different results for yourself. Not only in your life and your business, but also in your life, because with these things, these blocks around receiving and money, the way you do one thing is the way you do anything. So if you're not receiving the money that you want, my question for you is, where else is that showing up in your life? Because it will not just be in your money, it will be everywhere. Money is a symbol of receiving, and that's all it is. And if you're not receiving the money that you want, It's about receiving. Work on the receiving piece and also take that action hand in hand with that. So with that being said, I'm going to hand the mic back to Allegra.
I love everything you said, Emma. We're gonna this conversation. Of course, we have the Q&A, the joy of receiving, so you can join us. I believe that's on Wednesdays, and we'll be posting that for you guys to join and ask your questions even more. But I want you to, we're looking at people who are just like, listen. I know that there's something there. I know that there's a block. I just don't know what it is because everyone's not ready to. We understand that. Like sometimes we're just in a place where like, I don't need that, and that's okay. I did put up though, how do you get things done without fail? One is in my entire business life that I still practice today, and the way to get things done without fail is to just do it. Just because the failure comes from when you miss the opportunity to take action, right? A lot of
Mhm.
times, like when you make a mistake, that's not a failure. Mistakes are lessons, right? Failures are also lessons, but it's really like it's more of a downer when you don't even try. And I think that, that's one of the lessons that I learned so heavily in business. Even when I do have things that I know are kind of feeling like they're holding me back, I'm comfortable being uncomfortable because there are going to be so many times in your business that you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do. And in order for you to get over the hump of, well, what's on the other side, because that's really why we don't want to do it, because we're like, what's on the other side of it? Like, am I going to make more money? Am I going to fail? Like, what does it look like over there? But you don't know until you do it. So I always emphasize that. And I'm glad that you mentioned the combination of action versus mentality. Because sometimes we separate it like, okay, well, work on your mindset and then you can get to the work later. But Emma, you said it best. Sometimes we work on mentality and we just stay there because it really is the fear of taking action. So when you
Yeah.
combine the two, it's like you become more open to receiving. So and it's also like breaking free, right? It's like breaking free from any monotony, anything that feels like dusty on you, because it's like if you don't do something that you're supposed to do, your subconscious kind of like hold you accountable. You didn't do that thing. You said you was going to do it, but you never did. You said you was going to make that call, but you didn't make the call, right? Your subconscious is constantly reevaluating that and saying you don't
Yeah.
trust. So you have to be able to break free from that. So DM us the word break free if you want to get invited to that workshop. We have not done anything yet, but I'm inclined to tell you to go ahead and DM us the word break free so we can know who's interested. And for those of you who are just like, you know what, I don't even know. Like, I don't know if I'm blocked or if I'm not blocked. Take action. Just see. Because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And where we really sit in that gray area, that's where we stay in what I call analysis paralysis. This is PC.
Oh, yeah, I'm very familiar with that one. We can intellectualize these things up to the hilt and kind of get into the psychology of it and understanding of it. But if we're never taking action to break through these things, we're never going to see change. You've got to do both in conjunction. And yeah, I love what I think it was Conor McGregor who said this. If you're doubting yourself, the antidote to doubt is action. And I think lots of times when people have doubt, they instead of going into it, they, go and meditate. And that's great. That's great as well. But take action as well. Take action as well. Do something. Do something, when you make a decision, do something there and then. Don't wait for 20 minutes or a day to take action. Make sure you're taking action straight away because otherwise that energy can really dissipate very quickly and you want to grab it when you've got the inspiration. Just go, just do that thing no matter what. And I think also a big thing that I'm going to be talking about in this workshop is about the expectation of the outcome, because I see that as a huge saboteur. Was certainly for me. And like I'm talking about all of these blocks from my own personal experience as well, because I've experienced every single one of them very deeply. And I know that when we put these huge expectations that we've got to get some outcome, it's because deep down inside we believe that we can't get it. It's coming from a place of lack, basically. So we've got to let go of that expectation and kind of just become, ooh, let me just try this and see what happens. Like be light with it. and experiment. And, then we're not like all heavy on the call talking to potential clients and being like, oh, I need you to say yes. We're light about it. If it's a fit, they'll say yes. If it's not, they'll say no. And either way, it's cool. So we got to be cool with what happens, and we got to start trusting that life is leading us in the most positive way for us to move forward. And that takes doing that inner work and taking that aligned action. Very important. Both are very critical.
You said it. We got to get out of here, but I call that ease of flow. When you just know, and I think that comes with being confident, right? It comes with having that process where you know exactly what you want to do. And that's why I emphasize, even if you have blocks, a lot of times, I mean, I'm going to end with this too, is that a lot of times the blocks aren't really like because it's you, like in general. Sometimes we just have people that haven't planned properly, that haven't prepared properly. And so we get in our heads a lot, right? Because of that. And I've seen that a lot because I've worked with so many people that I'm like, you built businesses before, you've done this before, but because it's something new and they're not prepared or planned out for it, it becomes a hindrance. I love this conversation, y'all. We'll DM us the word break free if you want to get into this workshop. We're going to give you some invites. Also, join us for the Wednesday Joy of Receiving Q&A. That's where we go on Instagram Live and we IGTV, right? We get to actually get more personal with you there, and we want to make sure you follow us there. So follow Emma S. Lyons over there. Follow Allegra Jackson over there, and we'll be definitely going live tomorrow. I think we have that time at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And I know we have the DST, that the time zone has changed. So for those of you who
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah. It's
I
a bit of a
doing don't play. That's our fault. We don't want over here changing time zones. But with whatever we're experiencing, we're going to keep bringing this back to you so you can still catch it on a replay. So if you're hearing it on a replay, #replay, let us know you're listening. Let us know that you want to hear more about this. And if you have specific questions, you can either put it in the comments or you can DM us directly, because sometimes we know that this is a personal element for people, right? We are struggling through some of these things. And it's so, like, we have people that face perfectionism, right? So of course, like, saying that there's a problem is a problem. So, we
yeah.
want to have so many avenues to reach us. So just reach out. Okay, let us know if you're struggling, and we want to support you there. Anything before we leave, Emma? Do you have anything that they can join right now?
Yeah, I mean, make sure you follow me because I have a couple of things coming up where I'm going to be taking on live participants and working with people on different topics. So make sure you give me a follow on Instagram for that. So that's Emma S. Lyons. And yeah, very excited about our call tomorrow. And yeah, the message with you, drop your comments in the chat because we do see them and we do get back to them. We do respond either by writing in the chat or on the next call. So we will definitely address any issues that you've got going on.
Absolutely. Corey said, what's the IG? So the IG, I'm going to go ahead and put in a banner real quick so you guys can see, but we will also drop it in the chat for you, in the comments for you after this live is over. So you'll have access to that information, and we'll probably give you some access to offer information as well. But let's see. Emma, is it Emma S. Lyons?
Emma S. Lyons on Instagram. Yeah.
Yep. So Emma S. Lyons, Allegra Jackson CEO. I'm going to put it on the screen just for a moment so you can write that down, put it in your notebooks, right? Because you may want to just jump over it and join us. But if you're already following us on Instagram, you'll see the alert when we go live. The only thing I suggest is if you're on Instagram and you're getting saturated by a lot of things, because there's a lot of things on social media, right? You have to declutter at some point. So if you feel like you're getting a lot of notifications and you really don't know where to find us, make sure you turn to our bell on our profile. So on the top part of our profiles on IG, you'll see there's a bell, an alert bell, and those are notifications. You can all the time, all the time, because when we go live, we always talk about things that are going to help you in your business success and also in your life. All right. So thank y'all for listening. We'll be back here back on IG tomorrow, and we'll be back here next week to talk to y'all more about this conversation. Have an amazing day.
See y'all. Bye.